Hello and welcome to NDTV World Report. I'm Divya Bhata. We have a whole lot lined up for you, including Prime Minister Modi's strong message to terrorists who carry out the attack in Pahalgam, saying that those who plotted it would get a punishment they can't even imagine. We'll get you details of what the Prime Minister said. First, let's get you more details on what really happened with the Prime Minister there addressing the nation, starting with a moment of silence. The Prime Minister has said that the terrorists who carried out the attack on innocent people will not go unpunished. And he's gone on to say that he is speaking to the whole world that India will identify, track and punish every terrorist and their backers. And they will continue to pursue them, even if it means going to the end of the earth. India's spirit will never be broken by terrorism. Terrorism will not go unpunished. Every effort will be made to ensure that justice is done, and the entire nation is firm in its resolve. Everyone who believes in humanity is with us, while thanking the people of various countries. Do remember that it were from Donald Trump to the leader of the United Kingdom, the leader of Europe, of course, that is Ursula von der Leyen, and also the leader of Israel, including China and the neighboring countries, have all stood behind India. While a Cabinet Committee on Security, or CCS, the country's highest decision-making body on national security, has taken some very strict and punishing measures against Pakistan over the cross-border linkages that have surfaced in the investigation over the attack that took place, in which 26 lives were claimed. The boldest move has been to suspend the decades-old Indus Waters Treaty, which has been in effect since 1960. And also, along with that, the border. We're talking about the very famous Wagah-Atari border that has now been shut down. Also, Pakistani nationals have been given 48 hours to leave India. India also summoned Pakistan's top diplomat in Delhi and handed over the formal persona non grata note for its military diplomats. Let's listen in to Prime Minister Modi.
Friends, today from the soil of Bihar, I say to the whole world, India will identify, track and punish every terrorist and their backers. We will pursue them to the ends of the earth. India's spirit will never be broken by terrorism.
Prime Minister Modi there saying that those who executed this attack and those who have plotted this attack will be punished. A punishment that they can't even imagine. While talking to the people in Bihar, but addressing the world at large, he's gone on to say India will identify, track and punish every terrorist as well as the backers of these terrorist attacks. So they will be pursued, even if it means going to the end of the earth. India's spirit, the spirit of India, will never be broken by terrorism, is what Prime Minister Modi has gone on to reiterate. The terrorism that one has seen will not go unpunished. Every effort is going to be made in order to ensure that justice is finally done. The entire nation is firm in its resolve. Everyone who believes in humanity has been backing us. Of course, it was first Donald Trump who made a call to Prime Minister Modi, extending all kind of support in this very trying and testing time for India. And also at the same time, it is, of course, Israel, one of the first countries wanting to also extend its support, while China, the leader of China, has gone on to say that they do not support any kind of act of terrorism. While, of course, it is Vladimir Putin who has gone on to, in a very extended, in a very long message said that, Russia will increase its cooperation with India in its fight against terrorism, while Ursula von der Leyen has gone on to say that the entire European nation is backing India and that India will stand tall and stand strong in this ordeal. We have my colleague Sunil Prabhu joining us. Sunil, the Prime Minister putting out a very loud and clear message that there is, India is, the spirit of India cannot be broken, and that those responsible for this attack, not just the ones who have executed it, but the ones who've been backing this attack, all will be brought to justice.
That's right. I think the strongest possible word, the Prime Minister, not speaking in the language he's comfortable in Hindi, but in English to the world, to send that message loud and clear that beyond imagination, those who are responsible will be tracked down and we will definitely take action. I think it's a clear message not only to Pakistan, but also to the world and to the world leaders as well as various countries who have come out in support of India, which is really a message that, you know, after 26/11, this has been one of the worst incidents. And it's in that backdrop that the government of India, after the Cabinet Committee on Security, taking serious of measures to ensure that, you know, Pakistan is isolated, be it on the Indus Water Treaty or reducing staff or the visas, or for that matter, the military personnel who have been made person non grata. All those issues apart, the Prime Minister sending that message from Bihar, where he has said very categorically that India will take revenge and will definitely track those who are responsible, and beyond imagination, they will get you know, a good and a response that they will never forget. So definitely, you know, tough talking from the Prime Minister himself. This comes ahead of the all-party meeting that the government has convened after the Cabinet Committee on Security to get bipartisan support from various political parties. The Congress also holding a working committee meeting today, asking series of questions about the accountability in terms of lapses and how they go forward on various other issues. But that being said, they have definitely also faulted the BJP for trying to, what they say, communalize the situation at this present juncture. But be that as it may, I think we are going to see unanimous support from all political parties as India gets ready to not only find the perpetrators of this heinous crime, but also to take required action in terms of, as the Prime Minister said, bringing people back to justice.
Right, Sunil, thank you so much for getting us those details. In other news, a large-scale Russian missile and drone attack hit Kiev overnight, killing 9 people and injuring another 63 people, including 6 children, is what Ukrainian authorities have gone on to claim. The Kiev city military administration said on its Telegram channel that Russia struck the Kiev with drones and ballistic missiles. Fires were reported in several residential buildings, is what the head of the city military administration had to say. Listening.
Почалась повітряна тривога, потім почули різкий вибух, забігає наша комендант, ми проживемо в хостелі, вона каже, давайте збиратись, виходити. Поки я починаю збирати свої речі, відбувається ще один вибух, зникає світло, починається сипати штукатурка, я пробую відкрити двері, ще один вибух, і напевно уламок від скла у двері поранив мені голову. Ми всі швидко вибігаємо, всім страшно.
And US President, has now gone on to declare that Zelensky has no cards to play in a stinging rebuke after the Ukrainian president rejected his framework for peace. President Donald Trump slammed Ukraine's president on Wednesday for his comments that Ukraine wouldn't recognize Russian control of Crimea, calling the remarks very harmful to the peace negotiations with Russia as negotiators met for the last round of talks in London. Reports suggest that the United States proposal that was laid out and had 2 key points in agreement with Moscow's stand. The first being Kiev officially recognizing Crimea as Russian territory. The second being that Ukraine can never become a NATO member.
I think Russia is ready, and a lot of people said Russia wanted to go for the whole thing. And I think we have a deal with Russia. We have to get a deal with Zelensky, and I hope that Zelensky, I thought it might be easier to deal with Zelensky. So far it's been harder, but that's okay.
And South Korean prosecutors indicted their former Liberal President Moon Jae-in on bribery charges, saying that a budget airline gave his son-in-law a lucrative no-show job during his term in office. Now, Moon's indictment adds him to a long list of South Korean leaders who have faced trials or scandals at the close of their terms or after leaving office. Prosecutors allege that Moon, who served as president between 2017 and 2022, received bribes totaling $251. This is $151,000 from Lee Sang-jing, the founder of the budget carrier Thai Eastar jet, in the form of wages, housing expenses and other financial assistance that was provided to Moon's then son-in-law from 2018 to 2020. Now, South Korean media reported that Moon's daughter and her husband were divorced in 2021. And US President Donald Trump appears to have softened his recent comments on China and the head of the US Federal Reserve after recent clashes as he pursues his economic agenda. Trump said that he has no intention of firing Jeremy Powell after repeatedly criticizing the head of the central bank, and also added that he would like Powell to be a little more active on cutting interest rates. He said the level of tariffs or import taxes that he had imposed on Chinese imports would come down substantially, but it won't be zero.
I wanted to ask you, Mr. President, because you said you want to bring the tariffs on China down soon. How soon do you want to bring the tariffs on Chinese goods down?
Well, that depends on them. We have a situation where we have a very, very great place. It's called the United States of America, and it's been ripped off for years and years. These people know it. We talked about it before you came in. We've been ripped off by every country in the world, practically, and friend and foe. And we're not doing that anymore.
Meanwhile, Beijing neared a deal with Brussels to ease sanctions against European lawmakers, signaling an emerging closeness between the EU and China, both of which face trade pressure from the United States. Now, Beijing is hoping its decision to remove the restrictions that will reopen talks over an investment pact that was torpedoed by the EU imposing sanctions on Chinese entities over alleged human rights violation in the Muslim-majority region. While the journalist Noah Barkin has gone on to report that the EU and China are at loggerheads just months ago, but now they're facing those hefty tariffs from the United States and have reportedly opened discussions on reducing electric vehicle tariffs, and Beijing has pushed a charm offensive across the bloc, though that latter effort has so far been to little avail. Elon Musk-led Tesla sees India as a very hot market but regrets the 100% tariffs on automobiles, which it says makes customers anxious. The US auto giant continues to evaluate the timing of its entry into this very promising market, according to Tesla's chief financial officer, Vaibhav Taneja's statement. Tesla has long sought to establish a presence in India, the world's third largest automotive market. However, the exceptionally high tariffs, which CEO Elon Musk says are among the world's highest, remains quite a significant obstacle, as you know. And recent developments show that Tesla is securing showroom locations in India and advertising numerous job positions, indicating progress towards its entry into the market. Now, import records reveal that Tesla brought this Model Y vehicle from Germany to India in March, valued at $46,000 for shipping purposes. Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney, led a Liberal Party could be on its way to secure a clear majority when it comes to the upcoming federal elections that will be held in Canada. According to YouGov's claims, after trailing the Conservatives for months, it is now being claimed that Liberals have surged ahead. They are expected to secure a win on projected 182 seats, enough for a 21-seat majority.
The threats coming in from the US as far as economic coercion and tariffs are concerned, as well as the annexation threats that have put Mark Carney in the position that he's at the current moment, barely a few months into politics. And this is the man, a banker, an economist, a former governor of Bank of Canada and Bank of England, who is now poised to become the Prime Minister yet again, if we go by the opinion polls that have been coming through, most of them giving the Liberal Party a clear majority. Some of the opinion polls are now suggesting that the Conservatives may have closed in the gap a bit, but even then, the Liberals are well on their way to be able to form a government. And this is largely on the perception of Mark Carney himself as a person who the Canadians in the current moment believe is best placed to take on US President Donald Trump. In fact, Mark Carney has been campaigning here in British Columbia, in the province I am in. He was in Victoria today, and what he has been saying is that once the election results are out and he becomes the prime minister, he is going to have an in-person meeting with President Donald Trump. Questions were asked whether he would travel to Washington, D.C. for that meeting, and he said that it's early to say that. However, an in-person meeting is the best way of being able to negotiate. And that is what the Canadians here at the moment believe, that he is best placed to be able to do some tough talking with President Trump and be able to negotiate a good deal for Canada.
Thank you so much, Maha, for joining us all the way from Vancouver. Moving on, the European Union has ordered Apple and Meta to pay a combined 700 million euros in the first fines it has issued under legislative. This is the legislation intended to curb the power of big tech. It has issued that 500 million fine. This is 500 million euros fine to Apple over its App Store, while Meta has been fined with 200 million euros over how much choice users had to contest in order for data collection. The two tech firms have reached angrily, with Meta accusing the EU of attempting to handicap successful American businesses, and Apple saying it was being unfairly targeted and forced to give away our technology for free. Now, fines are lower than some of those issued by the EU in the past, but given the heightened economic tensions with the US, still the risk is also making the US President Donald Trump very angry. And Harvey Weinstein, the Me Too retrial opened on Wednesday, giving a new jury a very fresh look at familiar rape and sexual assault allegations, plus a newly added claim from a former model. For the first time, prosecutors publicly identified Kaja Sakola and detailed her account of what unfolded between her and the Oscar-winning movie producer in early 2000s. He's criminally charged with forcing oral sex on her in 2006, but she also accused him of a civil lawsuit of groping her against her will 4 years earlier when she was all of 16. Like the two other accusers in the case, she's also gone on to allege a complex series of encounters and reactions, being sexually assaulted, yet staying in touch, wary of Weinstein, but also wanting to remain on good terms with a power broker who dangled the possibility of an acting career. In the splendor of St. Petersburg Basilica, with the sunshine which is glinting across the bronze canopy that towers over the main altar, thousands of Catholic pilgrims streamed in to glimpse the body of Pope Francis on the first of 3 days lying in state. After lying in state for 3 days, Francis's funeral will be held outside in St. Peter's Square, beginning at about 10 o'clock local time on Saturday. The US President Donald Trump, French President Emmanuel Macron, British Prime Minister, outgoing German Chancellor, as well as Ukrainian President are among the major European leaders traveling to the Vatican. More than 80% of the planet's coral reefs are affected by an ongoing bleaching event, the worst on record. Corals have a symbiotic relationship with the certain colorful algae which lives in their tissues. When the corals become stressed, often by heat or pollutants, they expel the algae, leaving the coral pale and colorless. Record high temperatures have led to a 2-year worldwide bleaching event, which has now hit reefs in at least 82 countries or territories.